Well, we all know that April is when taxes are due, but April is also Financial Literacy Month. You may not realize this, but there's someone in the Queen City whose job is to help improve financial health in our neighborhoods. And joining us right now is Chase Bank's Cincinnati Community Manager, Chanel Heath. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ashley.
Yeah, this is an awesome role that you have. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but it sounds like you're used to talking about financial health, so we're hoping that you can help us up with some tips here. What do you tell to people in the community?
So as a community manager for JPMorgan Chase, my job is to lead the firm's financial health strategy locally. And what that means is that I partner with non-for-profit organizations, key community leaders, and small businesses at a neighborhood level to help bridge the racial wealth gap. So we do that through a series of free financial health events. So I teach and facilitate and host sometimes budgeting, savings, credit, investing, and home ownership workshops.
And you came up with 3 steps to kind of help people get going on their road to financial literacy. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so today we'll discuss the importance of building an emergency savings, improving your credit, and how to build a budget.
And how does that go over in the community? Maybe people have never heard of those concepts before.
Yeah, so if you're anything like me, when I think of budgeting or when I have thought about budgeting, I always felt like limitations are restrictions. When in reality, a budget is just really a tool to help you set good financial goals. So a good rule of thumb when we're thinking about how a person should go about building an actual budget, it's important that they understand how to calculate their income and list out all of their expenses. And when you do that, at the end, you get a budget result. So it's either going to be like a budget surplus or a budget deficit. And that means you either have enough money left over at the end of the month or not enough money.
It really is that simple. You either have it or you don't, right? And if you don't get emotional and
don't, because I think it's important that we give ourselves grace. And one of the good rule of thumbs is really being able to track those expenses daily. So just kind of checking in with yourself, being honest about where you are and make those adjustments as necessary.
Okay, so Chanel, talk to us. You mentioned credit scores. That can be tough for folks. What can you do to make that number go up?
Yeah, so it's really a daunting subject, right? So it's important that we address the elephant in the room. And I think the key step here is to really understand how credit works. So when we think in terms of increasing your credit score, 40% of your credit score is your payment history. So paying your payments on time, making sure that you're keeping up with monthly payments. Even if you can only make the minimum, don't miss a monthly payment. Then we like to talk about the credit utilization. So a good rule of thumb is to never go over 30% utilization. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, don't carry a balance of $300 or more. So it's a good way to look at that. And if you don't feel that credit score is increasing, just kind of seek a professional to help you with that credit repair process.
You also mentioned emergency funds, and this is a tough one for people. How do you build one? How do you know if you have enough? And you know, some people, they're saying, I can barely catch up on bills, let alone build an emergency fund.
The cost of living today is scary to even think about it. But I think when we think in terms of an emergency fund, it's important that we really understand the difference between short-term savings, long-term savings, and emergency fund. And an emergency fund is really what it sounds like for something that's unexpected, something you cannot plan for. And experts like to say that you should have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund. And one way that you can start building that emergency fund, guys, is to really automate the money that's coming from the checking account into the savings account, even if that's like $20 to $30 a paycheck, something to get yourself started.
Yeah, a lot of people just got those tax returns. That can be a great way to kind of boost that emergency fund.
Yes, extra money. If you find extra money, put it into a savings account and understand that each savings bucket that you have should be allocated towards a particular savings goal that you have.
All right, Chanel Heath with Chase Bank. If you're interested in learning more, Chanel is hosting a few free financial workshops coming up. The details are right there on your screen. And remember, you do not have to be a Chase customer to attend these events in the community. Chanel Heath with Chase Bank, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Ashley, for having me.